With so many tragic bullying cases in the news lately, parents are more concerned than ever about what to do if their child says they're being teased at school. Well, now one mom has sparked much debate by admitting that she resisted the urge to intervene when her own 5-year-old daughter was bullied because, quote, sometimes it's okay to let your kid be bullied. The author of that article, Amy Hatch, is the mom of 2, and she's a columnist at Parent Dish. And joining us to debate her is Esther, blogger and mother of 5. Ladies, thanks so much for being here. Amy, I want to start with you. And the backstory here is that your daughter started kindergarten last fall and she encountered some mean girls. And you made the active decision not to intervene. Why?
I did. My daughter came home at the beginning of the year and was really enthralled with this one particular child. And they were friends for quite a while, and then it started to turn very slowly that she was being teased and being left out, and there was some very basic playground bullying going on. And my strategy with my child was to take the tact that giving her the tools to cope with that person would empower her in the long run. And, I felt like I very strongly knew when I needed to step in and when I didn't. And in this case, teaching my daughter, who is quite young, that there are going to be people out there who aren't always going to be nice to you and who find it sporting to make fun, is part of learning to deal with independence, with rejection, and with being part of a society that's not closed in like you are when you're at home with your parents.
Okay. Elizabeth, do we need to let our kids settle their own disputes sometimes?
I think sometimes that's necessary. I think, though, that when parents don't intervene and they're not involved, I do think sometimes that can create an environment that empowers the bully, because the onus is always on the targeted child to stand up for herself, to defend herself, instead of the bully being held accountable for his or her bad behavior.
Look, Amy, I think that your logic makes sense. Obviously, we want to give our kids coping skills, but with all of the tragic bullying stories lately in the news, some of them with deadly consequences, haven't we learned the lesson that we need to intervene earlier as parents?
I think that you have to be tuned into who your child is and the environment that they're in. I think the research will show that, yes, 1 out of 10 kids will be bullied. I don't think 1 out of 10 kids is going to escalate to the fact that they're going to commit suicide. I think that
I agree with you, Amy.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I agree with that to an extent, but I mean, in this particular situation, the bullying went on so long that eventually it did turn into a physical assault. And I think in those situations, if there had perhaps been a little bit of intervention earlier on, it doesn't have to be aggressive. It can be an email to the teacher, say, hey, I hear this is going on. Maybe I'm not getting the whole story. Can you give me a little bit of background? Because, yes, we give our kids the tools, but then if those tools aren't working and the bullying is continuing, our kids need to know that we are there to back them up and to jump into the situation if the need arises to help them. I think if they're left alone, those feelings of helplessness and rage can increase, which, to my mind, only perpetuates the cycle of bullying so that the bullied child can then become a bully herself or himself.
Amy, what Elizabeth is talking about is that in your case, your daughter did turn physical, even though it was in kindergarten.
Yes, that's true. However, I should be very clear that I was active in chatting with her teachers about it throughout. Of course, I didn't include that in my piece. I wasn't just sitting back and letting my kid get bullied. I'm going to be very clear about that. My child, however, is sensitive, and I know what her lines are. I also know that there are going to be circumstances I can't control, and I felt very comfortable sending her to school in that she was safe. I knew she had the tools to combat this teasing. I also felt like what was happening with her was very garden variety, and it was going to happen again as she got older, and giving her a sense that she was a good person, that I was there for her, that she could come to me and talk to me. And I think that's the key, that I was very open with talking with her about it. And I think not only does that give her the sense that she's secure, it also gives a child the sense that they can also stand up when someone else is being bullied. They can recognize the signs.
Right. I mean, we hear your point that it can be character building in some sort of small way. Well, Amy Hatch, Elizabeth Esther, thanks for coming in and debating this very important topic this morning. We appreciate both your positions. More Fox